Good day. We are the Group 5 from EE-1103 and we are here to present our feasibility study about the cooking oil can use as an alternative fuel in power generator. Konting background lang po. Nag-come up po kami sa topic na ito para makatulong sa problema ng kakapusan ng paggamit ng synthetic fuel dahil ito ay nanggagaling lamang sa non-renewable source. Samantalang, ang cooking oil ay manggagaling sa renewable source. So, magiging magandang topic ito para sa ating lahat. So, let's get ready and we will start the presentation of our feasibility study.
Chapter 1, The Problem and its Background. This chapter includes the background of the study, the statement of the problem, the conceptual framework, the significance of the study, the scope, limitation and delimitations of the study, as well as definition of terms of the study. Introduction. The Philippines is a country prone to tropical cyclones due to its geographical location in which produces flooding of large areas and strong winds, which result to heavy casualty specifically to the power outage. Sometimes, said power outage can last from days to weeks, even months. Having supply of electricity is crucial to every one of us. People depend on electricity from business purposes like poultry, entertainment, and information dissemination. Power outages can happen even before the onslaught of the typhoon. That is why it is very important to have the updates regarding the typhoon before, during, and after the onslaught. We have the thing so-called generator, a device that converts mechanical energy or chemical energy into electrical energy. Fuel makes a generator work. There are many fuels to be used in a generator. There are gasoline, diesel, propane, and natural gas. As we all know, Philippines is not a rich country, but a developing country. The challenge when it comes to the usage of the generator is the supply of the fuel. As stated, power outage can last up to months. Philippines is a country where coconut is abundant as it is ubiquitous in coastal tropical regions where the Philippines is situated. From the coconut, cooking oil can be produced, wherein cooking oil can be used in frying, baking, and other types of cooking. To put it simply, cooking oil can be good alternative fuel for a generator. A great idea where people of the Philippines will benefit from the resources, which is very important in times of calamities for creating alternative supply of electricity. Renewable energy sources like biodiesel is an alternative fuel from vegetable oil or animals defined as ethyl or methyl ester, which can be used in diesel engine without or little modifications to engines. Transesterification is the process in which animal fats or vegetable oils react with alcohol in the presence of a catalyst to glycerol or an alkyl ester. During the frying of the said vegetable oil, chemical changes takes place, in which used cooking oil contains moisture and free fatty acids. Coconut oil is rich in fatty acids C8 to C12, especially lauric acid and mystric acid. In order to diversify the use of used cooking oil and find its suitability and effectiveness as an alternative fuel of generators, it is therefore characterized, which is the main aim of this feasibility study.
Significance of this study. The researchers considered that conducting this study may provide helpful information about the effectiveness of used cooking oil as an alternative fuel and power generator. Specifically, the useful and relevant outcomes of this research are profitable to the succeeding beneficiaries. First is for the residents. The result of this study would help the residents in the province who have a power shortage issue to improve their living standard. For the residents in the province that facing issue of power shortage and also pati na rin yung mga kakulangan sa supply ng crude oil sa pagpapatakbo ng isang power generator. Dahil sa studying ito ay na cooking oil na magamit natin bilang alternatibong fuel sa pagpapatakbo ng power generator ay maaari natin itong marasolbahan. For environmentalists, the result of this study will help to reduce the carbon footprints of normal use of regular fuel, contributing to the planet's carbon cycle. As an effect, awareness to environmentalists that in every gallon of biofuel that replaces gallon of fossil fuel helps reduce greenhouse gas emission, resulting to the fulfillment of advocacies. Next is for the students. The students will have a knowledge in cooking oil that can be used as an alternative fuel in the power generator. The outcome of this study would help the students who want to try, use, and share this kind of fuel and power generator in their houses. This study will give a big help for the students who wants to try and explore more informations about cooking oil that can be used as an alternative fuel and power generator. Next and last is for the future researchers. The findings of this study will serve as a reference guide and material to future researchers who wish to conduct the same experimental research study or any research study related to cooking oil can be used as an alternative fuel and power generator. Conceptual framework. This portion of this study provides a brief overview about the concept of this study about the cooking oil that can be used as an alternative fuel and power generator. Here, the research paradigm is presented to illustrate how the research is being conducted and studied. As you can see in the figure 1, in the column of input, problems encountered on using ordinary fuels on a power generator. Next is the effects of using cooking oil as an alternative fuel on a generator. In the process column, planning for an effective data gathering process, and also the researching related studies and literature from different sources that talks about the cooking oil as a fuel for machines. Last, the output, propose a study that shows the effectiveness of cooking oil as an alternative fuel and power generator.
And for the theoretical framework, this is our diagram. From the left side, these are the author of the articles and the theories, and on the right side of the table, these are the effector study. First is K.M. Sharina. Let me first read or explain what is his theory or her theory. Biodiesel is an eco-friendly alternative diesel fuel prepared from domestic renewable sources, produced from vegetable oils and animal fats. It is a renewable source of energy, seems to be an ideal solution for global energy demands, including India as well. The general way to produce biodiesel fuel is by transesterification of vegetable oil with methanol in the presence of either alkaline or strong acid catalysts. So, dito pa lang sinabi na ng author na pwede makagawa ng isang fuel through vegetable oil. So, talagang makakatulong ito sa aming study, which is a cooking oil that can be an alternative fuel for power generator. Transesterification reaction is quite sensitive to various parameters. An ideal transesterification reaction differs on the basis of variables such as fatty acid composition and the free fatty acid content of the oil. Other variables include reaction temperature, ratio of alcohol to vegetable oil, catalyst, mixing intensity, purity of reactants. So, sinabi dito na ang vegetable oil ay may mga properties na pwedeng na kagaya ng sa mga synthetic fuel at kaya pwede itong gawing alternative. So, yun ang nailagay namin dito sa effect of the study. This paper was very helpful for the researchers' feasibility study because it tackles about the idea about how vegetable oil or cooking oil can be an alternative fuel for power generators. Researchers can use this as a guide. The second one is by Divya Bajpai, and this is her theory. Biodiesel is an eco-friendly alternative diesel fuel prepared from domestic renewable resources, specifically vegetable oils. Neither it was edible or non-edible oil and animal fats that runs in diesel engine cars, buses, trucks, construction equipment, boats, generators, and oil home heating units. Various edible and non-edible oils like rice bran oil, coconut oil, jatropha curcas, castor oil, and many more oils are non-edible that non-edible type can be used for preparation of biodiesel. Biodiesel can be used either in the pure form as blends and conventional petrodiesel in automobiles without any major modification. Its biodegradability makes it eco-friendly. And this is the effect to our study. This review stated that biodiesel is a good alternative diesel fuel, and it also specifically mentioned that vegetable oil are the example of this biodiesel. It means that this article is a big help for the researcher because it can be an evidence that vegetable oil, which is a type of a cooking oil, is possibly to be an alternative diesel or fuel. So let's proceed to the third article by Ihan Demerbus. By his theory, biodiesel from transesterification of vegetable oils is an excellent alternative fuel. There is, however, a need to develop a direct process for conversion of vegetable oils into gasoline competitive biodiesel and other petroleum products. Methyl esters of vegetable oils have several outstanding advantages among other new renewable and clean engine fuel alternatives. The purpose of the transesterification process is to lower the viscosity of vegetable oil. Conversion of vegetable oils to useful fuels involves the pyrolysis and catalytic cracking of the oil's lower molecular products. So, ang cooking oil ay hindi siya basta ilalagay agad sa generator. Dadaan pa siya sa process ng transesterification na dito in-state ni Ihan Demerbus. So, the effect to the study of this article is this theory explains how when vegetable oil is processed to be a fuel for engines, which is through the process of transesterification. This will be the most important facts or information to be sought by the researcher because it was exactly connected to the feasibility study about a cooking oil as an alternative fuel for power generator. The researcher now know what is the process used to convert a cooking oil to fuel for machines. And that's it for the theoretical framework of the feasibility studies.
The study aims to determine the effectiveness of used cooking oil as an alternative fuel in power generator. Specifically, this feasibility study sought to answer the following questions. Number 1. What property of cooking oil has proportionate effect as an alternative fuel in power generator? 2. What are the advantages of used cooking oil as an alternative fuel in power generator in terms of emission performance? 3. What are the disadvantages of used cooking oil as an alternative fuel in power generator in terms of low temperature and knocking tendency in terms of octane rating? And lastly, is there a significant difference between using cooking oil and synthetic fuel on power generators in terms of span and effectiveness?
Let's proceed to the Chapter 3, Research Methodology. This chapter presents the methods, procedures, discussion of the method of the experiment, research design used, data research instrument, and data gathering procedures used in drawing conclusions from gathered data in the study. Method of research. The researcher will use different tools and materials for performing an experiment and to gather data to improve the study. These are the following methods for performing the experiment.
Method of determining the emission performance of used cooking oil as an alternative fuel for a power generator. Inco diesel power generator 3.5 kVA GDE 35001-5B will be used by the researchers in order to evaluate the emission performance of used cooking oil as an alternative fuel for a power generator. Transesterified used cooking oil will be used for performance evaluation of diesel generator. Carbon dioxide, hydrocarbon, and carbon monoxide emissions will be tested. Experimental apparatus that the researchers will use are the heat exchanger, ventilator, flow pipe, oil pump, electric resistances, control board, adjustable auto transformer, voltmeter and ammeter, power cable, battery, electric generator, fuel tank, transmission, diesel engine, exhaust pipe, measurement cable, exhaust gas probe, oil temperature sensor, and exhaust gas analyzer.
Method of determining the disadvantages of using used cooking oil as an alternative fuel for a power generator when it was in a low temperature state. This test will require a thermometer and observation. The researcher will set a variety of used cooking oil with different temperature. The cooking oil's temperature will be tested by thermometer before use. At first, the researcher will use a 52 degrees Celsius cooking oil, second is 40 degrees Celsius, and last is 30 degrees Celsius. The researcher will determine the disadvantages of it through observation using their naked eye and list it. So, 52 degrees po yung highest naming nilagay po dahil po 52 degrees daw po ang temperature ng diesel. So, malalaman po namin yung disadvantages po ng used cooking oil depende sa kanyang temperature sa pagbaba nito. At i-observe lang po namin yon pagka ginamit na po namin yon at inilagay sa generator at pinagana ito.
Method of determining the knocking tendency in terms of octane rating. The researchers will conduct an octane test, also referred to as the Ingenac test, on the following values: the octane number motor or MON, the octane number research or RON, and the average of both the RON and MON tests. After conducting the test, the researchers will evaluate the obtained values and it will then be compared to the standard diesel fuel octane rating. So due to the pandemic, we were not able to check places that have the CFR or Cooperative Fuel Research Engine that will be used to test our sample. So ang plano po namin is pagpunta po sa Provincial Engineering Office ay dun po namin ipagtatanong.
Sample size and sampling technique. The table shows the variables used by the researcher and some tests performed to determine such data. The Table 1, Table 2, Table 3, and Table 4 implies the method of experiment and materials needed to perform it. So, dito po sa sample size and sampling technique, ang ginawa po namin dito ay gumawa lang po kami ng mga tables. At ito lang po ay naglalaman ng mga materials, objectives po ng bawat experiment namin. Yun lamang po. At makikita naman po sa paper yon. Ito po yung objective po ng first experiment namin is to find the emission performance to determine the emission performance of the generator kapag ginamit na po itong cooking oil. And these are the materials needed: Inco diesel power generator, heat exchanger, ventilator, flow pipe, oil reservoir, oil pump, electric resistances, control board, adjustable auto transformer, voltmeter and ammeter, power cable, battery, electric generator, fuel tank, transmission, diesel engine, exhaust pipe, measurement cable, cable, exhaust gas probe, oil temperature sensor, and exhaust gas analyzer. And for the table 2, this will include test, condition, and observation. For the test, this will be the trying of transesterified used cooking oil in a power generator with the condition of different temperature of cooking oil, which is 52 degrees Celsius, 40 degrees Celsius, and 30 degrees Celsius. And we will list our observation about it. On table 3, it includes test, materials, and observation. For the test, we will conduct an octane test. Octane test po yung aming i-conduct dahil po yun lang po yung aming takaan para po malaman ang knock tendency ng isang power generator. Kailangan po naming mag-conduct ng octane test at i-determine po yung octane rate para po malaman kung ano ang knock tendency ng power generator. The materials will be a CFR or cooperative fuel. Research engines will be used to the RON and MON of the cooking oil, determining its octane rating. And the researcher, or we as well, will list the observation about it. While the table 4 is about the span of effectiveness. This will include test, condition, materials, and observation. On this table, and on this experiment, we used cooking oil and a synthetic fuel. The test will be the measuring the time test, the span of effectiveness, and the conditions. Materials used will be synthetic fuel, transesterified cooking oil, power generator, and stopwatch for hours and calendars for days. And observation will be transesterified cooking oil and synthetic fuel. Dito naman po, magtatry po kami ng cooking oil at i-measure po namin yung time ng effectiveness niya kung gaano po kahaba. At ganun din po ang gagawin namin sa synthetic fuel at para lang po malaman namin kung gaano po talaga ba kaganda ang cooking oil para maging alternative fuel sa isang power generator.
Research design. The researchers utilized the experimental research design which was chosen on the basis of appropriateness to the study. This design aims to determine how cooking oil can be used as an alternative fuel in a power generator. So, experimental research design was chosen by the researchers because this study is all about fuel, cooking oil, that needs experimental way to determine how cooking oil effective as an alternative fuel in power generator.
Next is the data gathering procedures. The data gathering procedure was made possible through listing and accurate observation. The researchers seek the scientific observation of a natural phenomenon verification or measurement and calculation. Accuracy and consistency was also practiced by the researchers through exact recording of data observed and retrieved from the experiment conducted.
Data research instrument. For the researchers to have a sufficient detail that is needed in the study, experiment will be conducted. The researchers use different tools and materials on performing the experiment. It will provide details on validation and utilization of research instrument. First, data research instrument have heat exchanger, ventilator, flow pipe, oil pump, electric resistances, control board, adjustable auto transformer, voltmeter and ammeter, power cable, battery, electric generator, fuel tank, transmission, diesel engine, exhaust pipe, measurement cable, exhaust gas probe, oil temperature sensor, and exhaust gas analyzer. And lastly, we have CFR or Cooperative Fuel Research Engines. Statistical treatment of data. After collecting the data from the experiment, the researchers analyzed the data. The gathered information were treated rigorously, classified, and methodically organized, consistent with the bound points that may be established within this instrument. The researchers used various statistical techniques and utilized tables for the illustrations of data, subjected to the following statistical procedures. In order to present the results of the study, the subsequent statistical tools were considered. First, we have t-test, a statistical test that is used to compare the means of two groups, often used in hypothesis testing to determine whether a process or a treatment actually has an effect on a population of interest, or whether two groups are different from one another. Chi-square test. A chi-square test for independence compares two variables in a contingency table to see if they are related. In a more general sense, it tests to see whether distributions of categorical variables differ from one another. A very small chi-square test statistic means that your observed data fits your expected data extremely well. In other words, there is a relationship. A very large chi-square test statistic means that the data does not fit very well. In other words, there isn't a relationship. Lastly, we have F ratio. It is a tool to determine between group variance to within group variance. It can be compared to a critical F ratio, which is determined by rejecting or accepting the null hypothesis.